if you're recovering from the weekend. Some of us are here talking about serious issues and fun issues and all kinds of things. I'm Rebecca in for Relebogile. Welcome if you've just joined us. And it's time to talk about parenting and some of those things that creep up on you that you don't expect as a parent. And we're talking about mom economics today and the economics of parenthood. Did you know that 48% of women feel they are not financially prepared for motherhood? And I bet the number is larger than that. Those are just those who confess. And our guest today is Nonzuzo Makanda. She's a founder and chairperson of National Financial Literacy Advocacy and the National Financial Literacy Association. I'm sitting here with this very, very important bio, and it explains just wonderful things about you and just, the kind of work that you've actually done, where you've been. And I'm going to leave it to you, Nonzuzo, to tell us just what led you down this path, what led you here, and especially this focus on women and finances.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, and afternoon to yourself and to the listeners. I think really it boils down to the quest for inclusivity, which is something that I've always been having as a passion. I've always wanted to see people being included, especially when it comes to finances. And when you really check, you will see that people that are in the remote areas are often excluded, and they really don't have information dissemination is still a problem in getting people up to speed with where the world is going financially, especially in South Africa, because we all know that our country is divided. We've got a first world and a third world economies in one, and then the initiatives then to bring about that balance really would require a lot of work in certain areas than others.
Yes, and I think the Nonzuzo, the kind of women that you are talking about are those, you're kind of living for the day. You're kind of living for just to put bread on the table that day, to put something for somebody to eat, your kids, your grandkids, or for the month, or for the week, or for the month. We don't have those who have the luxury of thinking about an education policy and putting aside every month. We don't have those who have the luxury of saying, here's a little savings, and I've started this little account for you that goes off mine into yours, like so many hundred every month. We don't have the sort of luxuries of a financial advisor. I don't know what I would do without mine. I had without my two. Thankfully, they're my neighbors, and they know I'll be lost completely. I'd be broke and have to do more stand-in shows. So and I think let's just talk about just what is the situation. What are you seeing in terms of and I know we're talking women and momonomics, but there are dads who are doing this on their own as well. So a lot of this will apply to them as well. What are the things that we should be thinking about now when we're talking family planning and budgeting, especially when you are going to have a child, you've decided to have that child, and that child could arrive at any moment?
I think it all boils down to the income of the family first, because you can see, what we see, some families, they rely on social grants, and there isn't a lot of income streams that come into that family, and one person is a breadwinner taking care of 14, 15 people with one income. So it all begins there, and that's why the divide really is something that we should be channeling those resources and support in those areas in the form of just creating the ability for people to earn, because if people aren't earning, all these amazing initiatives like getting a financial advisor, planning, you plan when you have something in the pocket. So it really starts from unlocking the potential of citizens to earn an income and earn a living. It starts there.
And let's talk the realities now of starting a family, right? We're talking about that kind of in terms of mom economics or parent economics, I think is what we should have called parent economics. The importance of planning and creating what are the things that you need to be thinking about when you decide that you're going to become a parent, or you've now become a parent.
You need to think about how you're going to provide for that child. That's number one. And planning involves the whole journey of, especially for moms, the whole journey of carrying a baby, the the gynecological visits, those cost money, and the birthing plan and all the things that come with it. It all requires someone to have money available to cover those bills. You must also think about what happens if you are a working mom. What happens once you have your baby? Are you going back to work immediately, or are you staying at home? Are you gonna give up your job? What are the options that are there for you? For example, does your job, are you in an employment where you can, maybe one of the fortunate ones in the formal employment where you can access your maternity benefits? Are you having that as a benefit? What are the benefits that you have around you? And then I think from the inclusivity part, we're not leaving moms that are actually hustling on the side. They don't really have those benefits. They're working. It's like a hand to mouth. So they need to also be included in this conversation. They also need to plan on the money that they get, how much is put aside for the baby that is coming in that family.
Yes. And the unexpected costs that could arrive with that.
Yes.
Just ask everyone for money at your baby shower. Just say, give us money. Don't worry about anything else. Just give us money and give us vouchers. That's all you need to do.
But then not everyone gets the opportunity to have a shower.
Yes. Yes. Well, whatever your traditional celebration is, they just make up a collection and just give us the money. And I mean, healthcare costs in general are things that's a whole other show on its own, right? Healthcare costs in general. And what are the sort of what's the practical advice you can give to those who are in the situation? They've just found out they're having a baby, or they just had one.
I think if a parent wants to go, there's two options in South Africa. You either go the public route or the private route for your healthcare. If you go the private route, you have to have a medical aid because it's very expensive. Healthcare is expensive in general, but on the other side, you get subsidized care, which the government covers those costs. But not everyone is able to access it because of the demand. The staff headcount at hospital is way less than the demand of the people that want those services. So that's why a lot of moms will try, if they have a medical aid, will opt for the private care option. Yes.
Okay, and then we've got to talk about when baby has arrived, and all those things that you need to think about, all those follow-up visits, all the baby essentials, because you find yourself sitting with half a packet of newborn nappies because now they've moved on to the next, and what do you do with what's left over? It's you know what, having done this twice, it's messy in the beginning in every way possible, in like symbolically and like practically. It's messy,
absolutely,
because you just don't know. It's like you're treading water.
Especially if you didn't have the shower that you were talking about. It really can become,
or rich friends,
or friends that you can send a list and say, hey, you get me a coat, you get me a car seat, you get me this and that. But not everyone has that luxury. And I mean, for those that don't have, a mom needs all the support they can get as soon as the baby arrives. You need to plan about who's going to help with taking care of the newborn baby that needs 24/7 attention, who's going to be there to support that mom, and the expenses thereof. If you're getting a nanny, we all know that, I mean, in South Africa right now, if you have a nanny, we're talking about you need to part with a region of 4K minimum wage.
Yes, you're right.
Plus minus 4K minimum wage. So you need to be able to make those provisions.
Include public holidays.
You need to include those in your plan. If you're gonna go for a nanny, if you are lucky, especially in the African families, an aunt that you say, no, I'll be with you for 3 months until the baby is until you decide to go back to work, or you send the baby to nursery school,
which is another cost altogether. Absolutely. I don't know which is worse, is having the nanny or sending them to creche, which is more expensive these days. I don't know.
And then I mean, the early childhood development center facilities as well, they don't come cheap. They also depend on where they are and the demand in the area, and you get those that are really, really expensive. It's like a child is already in school. Because of what they offer.
Private school.
It's like you parting the amount of thousands that most parents can relate to, especially those that are sending them to the ones that are linked to certain schools. Those are, you have to budget for those. It's like a child is going to school. So it's not like your traditional nursery school, so you get sending them there so that they can play
like
with
we
other
went
kids.
to when we were little. You just packed your little bag with your lunch and off you went, and you colored within the lines and you came back home.
It was about playing.
It was about playing. Now it's like physics and everything, and to crash. But and then also we know the dangers of sending your child, like we speak about those who are not as fortunate to have those types of facilities around them. Sending your child to somebody who claims to be daycare, somebody who claims that they're going to look after you, and we know the horror stories. We've heard them over the news, right, over the years.
Yeah, and I mean the anxiety as a parent as well, leaving your child with someone and you're not sure if they're gonna get that care. I think it's important to just plan for the nursery schools. If you trust them, you've seen them, or your friends have taken their kids there, you do the reviews, you do the thorough planning. You don't just drop a child. You have to really check the center if it's registered. If the people that are actually looking after the kids are trained to look after the kids, they will know what to do in an emergency, especially if the child has health challenges and they need people to just pay attention on how they are being taken care of.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you mentioned if the child has health challenges, because you have to prepare for that. You have to prepare for the fact that things might not go all that well after birth, that you might end up with a baby who's come out quite sick. And that's something else. Those are all and we're talking the hidden things. We're talking about the things we don't think about today, right?
Yes, and you only find out, it's a surprise for most parents. Once the baby's here, then that's when they know what is wrong with the baby, if there's issues.
If there are issues, yeah. And then, okay, so baby essentials, we know those are the things you need. Ways to get around that, I suppose, is to look at things like where you can get secondhand stuff. There are lots of stores that trade in secondhand things. Or you could even groups you can set up within your community where you say, okay, I've now got, my 5-year-old is outgrown, but I've got a 1-year-old, and who wants to swap? Or this, what are the possibilities? What are the things we can create out there so that people can cope and don't have to spend that extra and everything?
I think we just need to normalize accepting hand-me-downs and not to look down upon such.
As long as they've been washed, it's okay.
As long as the items are in a good condition, and they're washed and they can be reused. I think it's important to just accept them. And encourage moms really to look into that option. I mean, a cord, for example, it's something that can be reused. You don't have to buy a new one if it's in good condition. Car seat, you can reuse. Someone who has given you a car seat, that car seat can really take the baby until they outgrow it.
And you have those that actually swap them out. I don't know if those stores still exist. They did when my kids were little, where you could take yours of a different size and then get one that was bigger, and you take the baby one.
I mean, even in communities they do it. It's just that it's not structured and formal. In communities, you would see them. People had like sending stuff that I used to use this blanket for my baby. Now they no longer need it.
Yes,
have it. Yeah.
And you have those community groups. You have them on our WhatsApp. That group that never stops. The one that the people keep talking up until midnight. But it's great because it does come in handy. So we still have to talk about more about education as well, and emergency funds and policies and all of that. The really heavy stuff. So let's give you a chance to breathe a little bit. It is 22 minutes after 2 o'clock on this Monday, a lovely public holiday. Thank you for joining us here on 7:02 Afternoons. I'm Rebecca and I'm in for Relebogile. And today on Parenting and Parents, we're talking about just all those hidden costs, whether you're a mom, whether you're a dad doing this alone. Mom economics or parent economics is what we've renamed it now, haven't we? We're with our guest here. That's Nonzuzo Makanda. She's founder and chairperson of the National Financial Literacy Advocacy and National Financial Literacy Association. She knows everything you need to know about planning for children and planning for parenthood and all of that. And we've discussed quite a bit already, Nonzuzo, but I think we need to talk about emergency funds and where people find it's already hard enough, just having this baby and getting through the birth and getting through hospital. You still have to think about that emergency fund, and how do you even begin when you're already out of pocket before the child has even arrived?
Sure, it is a tough one, but it has to happen prior the baby arrives. Just to have a little bit of money stashed somewhere to cater for those unforeseen expenditures that might crop up, because with a little one anything is possible.
Yeah.
Before you can have your plan. But anything, I mean, even with the bills, I mean, some moms would say, I had medical aid, but there's a top up. I need now to top up because it didn't cover certain expenses. So it is essential that that fund is there. And I mean, you can build it prior to the baby. If it happened that you had a baby before, as soon as you start earning income, you need to stash something away and make sure that you use your bonuses for that. If you are a mom that is good at selling, is good at doing other things, you have a side hustle, maybe you can also use the proceeds from the side hustle to finance that emergency fund, because you need it. It's an essential it's an essential fund for yourself as a mom. Anything is possible for the personal care of the mother now post the child, and as well as the child or any parent that is a primary caregiver of that baby.
And medical aid is so important. The type of medical aid you are on, what plan you are on, gap cover, all of those things, and that's a lot to think about.
Hospitalization plan, and all of those. Others
and the extra costs that you don't realize that that one little lining that they put on the bed is going to cost you so much. And I'll bring my own from the shops, thanks. You can keep your lining, I've got my own.
And then does it cover the specialist cost? Because it depends really. Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. So you must just have everything planned out and have that emergency. I cannot stress the importance of that enough. Really
you may not be able to have that natural birth that you plan, which we know is generally cheaper. You may be forced to have a cesarean section. You may be forced to undergo anesthetic. You just don't know what's going to happen and who they're going to need to call in to save you and your baby.
Of elective C-sections. If maybe they feel like they want to go that route, and I mean, which is a bit expensive, and it really requires a lot of planning. And I don't know anyone who says, I never had any additional costs. I haven't met any person.
No, and they keep on coming. Let me tell you, as they get older, they keep on coming. So, so you've also got to consider this. So the emergency fund, set aside anything little extra that you get. Anything. Just set it aside, put it away, put it in a little savings, something that's going to earn you some interest somewhere, I would imagine. I mean, I'm learning from my financial advisors, right? So it's better. And then, also policies. Let's talk about policies that we have around here, and especially parental leave policies. And, I hear stories about what happens in other countries and how long the moms get to be at home with their kids, and then they go back to the same positions they were in. And here, it's very different, to say the least.
I think we did earlier touched on maternity leave in particular, that it's most people are entitled to that 4 month, the one that your employer would contribute 50%, and then the UIF gives you 50%, and sometimes there's always that lagging between the two. When is that one? When is your pay date and the UIF portion? So one then needs to plan for the debit orders and all the expenses. That with the lag between the you get the other 50%, you are covered. You're not struggling then to pay off your bill. But also, I mean, our labor laws, we are entitled, if you are employed formally, to a 21 days annual leave, even if it's out of your maternity. But I mean, in South Africa, we've got a very good labor laws. At least you are entitled to that. And though you can only do it once in 12 months. So our leaves
you do need that little break.
Our leave cycle is only 12 months. So 21 days, if you finish it that year and you feel exhausted, sorry,
please don't make another baby in that time. No. I mean, and true, there are some true stories out there. If you have a question, we have a couple of minutes for Nonzuzo. It's 011-883-0702, or WhatsApp or voice note us on 072-702-1702, or SMS us on 31702. And while we're talking policies, let's talk very quickly about educational policies that you need to start when that baby is born, or even before.
I think for nowadays, because the instruments that are available in the market are so sophisticated than in the past, where our parents would do the normal educational policy, that deducts from their salaries, but that will happen once the baby is born. But what we've experienced now, as moms or dads are getting more and more alert. Like, for example, you've got a financial advisor that walks the journey with you.
Yes.
So as you expose yourself to such kind of assistance, then it broadens your horizon. You can have access to, you can even start buying equities or anything for it's a long-term plan. You're not doing it to cover those essentials we're talking about, but you're doing it just to so that when the child turns 18 or anything, you've been contributing towards something and it's been growing. It's there.
It's something.
It's there.
All their Christmas money that grandma and grandpa give them, all their birthday money, put it into an account. That's what I do. Every 20 rand they get from granny or great granny, I used to put that thing into their account. And they can take me on a world tour now. They could, either one of my kids, they could, but we'll save it for when they need it. And financial communication, Nonzuzo, is very important, especially if you are a couple together, or whether you've chosen to have this baby on your own, but there is a partner involved. So, it takes two. Unless there's an anonymous partner where you've decided you want to do this on your own and gone the sperm donor route. I don't know, whatever it is. There are so many possibilities. But financial communication, especially for couples.
It is like, it's very, very important for couples, because I think if we watch how our society is behaving, if people don't talk, and the major contributing factor in family disputes is centered around money. So if those conversations don't happen, clearly there will be challenges, especially if the baby is under the care of both parents. So there must be that balance on who's contributing for what, how, and when, so that there's no clash. So everyone is all on par. And I mean, even if the mother is alone, is a single parent, or they've opted to have that baby, and if they've got family members that they have, or they've got older babies that are working, that maybe they might want to contribute, that open conversation is important. And I think it's also about behavioral change. We really need to enforce that behavior in our homes, of having that uncomfortable conversation about who earns what,
money.
how,
I'm very
and how
uncomfortable
often.
talking about money. I am, yes. So it's very important to say, look, I need, rather than I can. Also, when you need. And also, on that note, self-care and well-being, don't also neglect yourself while you're trying to meet those financial responsibilities. Don't work yourself to the bone. Otherwise, what kind of start to parenthood is that going to be for you?
It is important for everyone. For everyone, we do it all the time. I was a victim of that myself. I must confess, of overworking.
We all do it. In retrospect, now we would say we do otherwise. Right?
I know I've done it. I think it's important though to strike a balance of when do you rest and when do you do, especially when you have a baby, because the babies can sense the energy of the parent. If the parent is stressed out or is tired, they pick it up. So it's very important for parents in general just to have time out for themselves. And I mean, ask your support structure to come.
It's just something simple.
To come in. If you can't be everything to everyone. If you are tired, you are tired. I mean, you need to just pause, take a moment to yourself, and it doesn't make you a bad mom. Doesn't make
nothing wrong with peanut butter sandwiches and tea for supper is all I'm saying.
Or
toasted cheese. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, nothing wrong. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for. But I'm sure we've given people food for thought. Those who are planning, those babies are about to pop or they've popped. Thank you very much, Nonzuzo Makanda, our expert, who has given us and shared with us lots of advice. It's a little after 2:30, and let's find out what's happening in Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Rebecca. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
You are forgiven.